The biting chill of the evening air cut through Emily's worn-out sweater as she sat on the edge of the subway stairs, clutching her small paper cup. People hurried past, eyes glued to their phones, their footsteps echoing indifferently against the concrete. She was just another shadow in the city, young, homeless, and invisible. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten since yesterday. The few coins rattling in her cup weren't enough for even a stale sandwich. But what hurt more than the hunger was the isolation, the feeling that she simply didn't matter. Just as she lowered her head, something caught her eye. Across the street, an old man slumped against a lamppost. His coat was torn, his hands trembling as he tried to sip from an empty water bottle. His face was pale, his eyes weary, and Emily recognized that look instantly: hunger. The same gnawing, burning emptiness she felt in her own stomach. For a moment, she hesitated. She barely had anything herself. But then, almost without thinking, she stood up, crossed the street, and crouched beside him. "Sir," she said softly, "are you okay?" The man blinked at her, surprised. I haven't eaten in 2 days," he whispered, voice brittle as glass. Emily's chest tightened. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the crumpled bills and coins she had collected that day. It wasn't much, just enough for one meal. She looked at the money, then at the man's shaking hands. She smiled faintly. "Wait here." Moments later, Emily returned from the corner deli with a steaming bowl of soup, a sandwich, and a bottle of water. She placed them in his hands, her own stomach twisting in protest. The old man's eyes welled with tears as he took a shaky bite. "Why would you share what little you have?" he asked, voice breaking. Emily shrugged, fighting back her own hunger. "Because I know what it feels like to be forgotten. And nobody deserves that." What Emily didn't know was that, just a few feet away, inside a sleek black car parked along the curb, someone was watching. Nathan Cole, CEO of one of the city's largest companies, had been sitting there waiting for his driver to return. He had noticed the homeless girl earlier, hunched by the subway stairs. He was used to seeing people on the streets but had trained himself not to look too long, too closely. It was easier that way. But when Emily crossed the street and knelt beside the starving man, Nathan leaned forward. He watched as she gave away everything she had, her face full of empathy despite her own hunger. Something inside him stirred, a mix of shame and admiration. He had built skyscrapers, employed thousands, and yet here was this young girl, who had nothing, showing more humanity in one moment than he had in years. After the old man finished his meal and gave Emily a weak but grateful smile, she patted his shoulder and stood to leave. That's when Nathan stepped out of his car. "Excuse me," he called. Emily froze. She turned slowly, cautious. A tall man in an expensive suit was approaching her, his expression unreadable. I wasn't doing anything wrong," she stammered, used to being chased away. "No," Nathan said gently, shaking his head. "Quite the opposite. I saw what you did. You gave away your last bit of money to feed that man, didn't you?" Emily's cheeks flushed, and she looked down. "It wasn't much. Just what I could do." Nathan studied her, her tattered sweater, her sunken eyes, her quiet dignity. Something about her humility hit him harder than any boardroom negotiation ever had. "What's your name?" he asked. "Emily," she whispered. Nathan extended his hand. "Emily, I'm Nathan Cole. I run Cole Enterprises." She blinked, clearly not recognizing the name. He continued, his voice steady but warm. "You reminded me tonight of something I had forgotten, that true wealth isn't about money, but about compassion. You've inspired me. And if you'll allow me, I'd like to help you." Emily frowned in disbelief. Offers of help usually came with strings attached, or worse, mockery. "Why?" she asked cautiously. "Because you gave away everything you had," Nathan replied. And that tells me you're the kind of person this world desperately needs." For the first time in years, Emily felt seen, not as a burden, not as a mistake, but as a human being. Over the next weeks, Nathan kept his word. He arranged for Emily to have a safe place to live, connected her with counselors who helped her work through the trauma of losing her parents and being pushed onto the streets, and even gave her a job at his company. At first, Emily was overwhelmed. She struggled to adjust, unsure if she truly belonged in this new world. But Nathan reminded her of the night she had chosen to help a stranger even while starving herself. "That heart of yours," he said, "is what makes you more capable than you realize." Months later, Emily walked through the polished halls of Cole Enterprises, not as a homeless girl begging for change, but as a valued employee, brimming with confidence she never knew she had. And every so often, she visited the same subway corner, this time with bags of food to hand out to others. Her life had changed, but she never forgot what it felt like to be invisible. And somewhere deep inside, Nathan Cole knew that on that cold evening, it wasn't him who had rescued Emily. It was Emily's kindness that had saved him. Sometimes the smallest act of compassion, even from those who have the least, has the power to change lives, both for the giver and the one who receives. True humanity is not in what we keep, but in what we give.